conversation.
Super excited. Thank you so much too for having me on.
No problem. But no, so first off, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
Okay, so I'm Jane. My name is actually Jamie, but everybody knows me as Jane. I'm originally from Europe.
Oh,
As you
wow.
mentioned, I'm a tattoo artist of like a million years at this point. Um, I have like 15 plus years under my belt of
Wow.
tattooing. And but overall I am an artist. Like so I tattoo, I paint, I modify cars for fun. I
She
um
does.
I
Yeah.
used to do lingerie design, right, back in the day. I used
Really?
to do, like, headdress design back in the day. I did some makeup artist work at some point. I worked as a photographer for a really long time and did videography work and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm, like, an artist, right? I know they say always, like, what does the saying go? A jack of all trades is a master of none, but I
Yep.
disagree, right? Because scientifically it's been proven if you invest 10,000 hours into anything, you become perfect at it, right? And so um anything that I've ever gotten myself into, I've always like full sended it
Heck
and
yeah.
went all the way with it. I've been in the virtual sex industry for 10 plus years now. I
Oh,
want to
wow.
say of like about 11, maybe 11, 12 years now for a really long time. And before that, before I went into the and on and off to be fair, right? Like I took some time off in between here and there, a couple years in between. But before that, I even since prostitution is legal in Germany specifically, I did work as a dominatrix for some time before
Oh,
I went into, virtual, sex work. So I have my fair share history when it comes to those things, for a hot minute now, for a good 14-ish years now, I would say.
wow. I even
Mhm.
learned something new today. I didn't realize it was that in depth. So this is going to be an
Mhm.
interesting conversation tonight.
Yes. For sure.
I mean, so what was it like growing up in Germany?
Um It's very different from the US, right? So, like, my story is a little, like, complicated. So, I was born in Germany, right? And my dad was a soldier at the time.
Hmm.
My mom is Croatian, right? But was
Oh,
living in
wow.
Germany, like, grew up there in Germany her whole most of majority of her life at the time. And after I was born, my dad got kicked out of the military because he got caught selling LSD on post, right?
Oh, geez.
And had to go
That'll do
do
it.
some time for a bit, right? And so I never lived the whole military brat lifestyle. Like as soon as I always start off with, well, I was born in Germany because everybody immediately assumes like, oh, so you're a military brat. No, no, I'm not. I think he got kicked out, I think like 3 months after I was born or some shit like that, right? So I never lived the whole military lifestyle. We moved to Bellingham, Washington State. And then we were there until I was about 8 years old. And then we decided, civilian wise, not military wise, civilian wise, to move back to Germany for several reasons, socialized medicine, the healthcare is just better there, right? And a big part of it was like education wise. The educational system in Germany is a lot better than it is in the US, right? Especially like early childhood education, right? Um, it's just a way, way better than in the US, right? And so I was in Germany until I want to say God, when did I move back? At age 23. So like 11 years ago, I moved back to the States. So it's kind of funny because I went through culture shock twice with the same two fucking countries, right? So like, growing up the first 8 years of my life in America and being as like American as it comes, or as the Europeans like to say, as Yankee as it comes. The perception of all Americans are just Yankees, right?
Yep.
And so moving to Germany, right? Everybody was like, "Oh, you're Yankee, you're American, you're da, 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 da," right?" Like, no, I was not European to these people, right? But then when I moved back as an adult, because mind you, for 14 years, because I had this whole 14-year gap living in Europe and not once ever going back to the United States to visit or anything, right?
Oh, wow.
came back as an adult at 23 years old. I went through culture shock
Oh,
because my whole time growing up in Europe, I was told I was so American, and boy did I learn real quick when I moved to the States that I was not fucking American culture. That I was like as European as they come. Like for an example, my first oh my god, I'm so European moment was like going grocery shopping and seeing how much food fucking costs in America. I could not believe that you have to pay like in Washington state, it's what almost $6 for a single bell pepper, right? Like that blew my
oh,
mind.
geez.
I remember the first time going grocery shopping and like grocery shopping essentially how I would back home. And when I saw what it came out to, I remember crying like from the, from the cash register to the car because I was like, "Holy shit! Like, how do people survive here?" Right? Like, I don't understand. Um,
So what year range was this?
this was 2012, 13
Oh, wow.
when I
Okay.
came here. Yeah, yeah. And now it's like even more expensive, right? But like for me, like that was like my first moment, my first realization, like, wow, I'm European because what the fuck, right? Like I couldn't believe it. Or my second moment, my second big moment where I realized that it was European as fuck was at the time I was married, right? And my husband at the time, he had guns and I didn't know this. And he knew how I felt about guns because I was so Europeanized. No one has guns in Europe, right? That's a crazy people concept, right? Like if you've never been around that your whole life, like you know what I mean? That's crazy to you. Like that you
Yeah.
would own a weapon, let alone multiple, right? And I'll never forget like one day he had like his buddies over and we were like sitting out on the balcony smoking whatever and then they start talking about, oh, you still got that 9 man and, and you got the this and you got the chrome and blah blah blah, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh yeah, I got it like in the bedroom. You want me to show you? I still got them, blah blah blah. And I'm like, wait. I was like, we've had guns here in the house this whole fucking and I remember this turned into a huge argument, right? Because I was like, have you lost your mind? What if the kid finds it? What if she shoots us all? What if right? Like because it was to me such a crazy concept. Now, if you ask me now, 10 years plus later, oh, I fucking love guns. I have a plethora of guns,
Yeah.
right? But like when I first came here, that was like such a crazy concept to me. I'm like, we have guns in the house? Are you crazy? I had no idea, right? Yeah, so I was very European when I came here. I came here really think I was hot shit and I was like so Yankee and I was absolutely not. But, now 10 years down the line, I'm very Americanized again. I still have my little spicy European moments here and there, but overall very very Americanized again.
Well, see, I said it's kind of crazy, yeah, because you're talking about like 2012, just the 12 years of time difference.
It Everything that's gone down since. I
Yeah.
remember moving to the States, and at the time, this is when it just started, this whole debate, does vaccines cause autism, right? This was the height of it when it just fucking
Mm.
started back in 2012. And I remember being on a Skype call with several of my friends back home, and I had to been here less than 90 days, right? Like fresh off the fucking boat. And I was on Skype with my friends and I was like, did you know Americans think that vaccination cause autism? And my friends are like, ah ha ha, Jane, you're so funny. They thought I was joking and I was like, no,
Oh.
like dead ass, like and they're against abortions here and they're and they're like, wait, you're not fucking around. Like you're like these motherfuckers are having chicken pox parties and God knows what. Like
Yep.
this is a thing that they do. And my friends thought I was crazy. And I was like, no, this is like real thing. And I started sending them like news articles, right? And translating it for them in general. I'm like, no, this is like real shit, dog. Like Americans are crazy. Like man, it was like that was a crazy time around that time. The leader of North Korea had just died, so things were
Yep.
really really tense at the time. I remember my ex-husband was sent over to South Korea for almost a year, and so, like it was crazy. It was crazy, and being fresh off the boat and like trying to integrate into all that, I was like, man, this is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, there's been a lot of changes just in, I'm you know, I seen a lot of stuff. I'm like pre-internet, so that just kind of dates you how old I am.
Right, right,
So,
right, right.
so I mean, just between my generation seeing a lot of stuff come up, It just seems like it's like every 10 or 15 years, it's like there's just like a whirlwind of new things that just
Yeah.
emerge. So,
I'm getting to the age now finally where I'm starting to understand old folks and when they're like, "I don't understand these fucking young kids and their fucking bullshit," right? My oldest child is 13 years old now and I'm starting to understand. I get it now. I get cuz I too do not understand any of the things. They'd be talking to me in memes and I'm like, "I don't get it. I'm
yep.
old." I'm like, "Can you please speak English? I don't know what's going on here."
Well, I just saw something today. Somebody posted on X that somebody posted on TikTok saying that good morning, the phrase good morning they're trying to make it a racist term now.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I'm
You
so
know,
over it.
the
We're
whole
gonna get to a
thumbs up
point
is a,
where we're not allowed to talk anymore, and we have
yeah,
to speak in emotes, bro. Like,
yeah.
that's where we're headed at this
Well,
fucking point.
you
We're
got to
gonna
be
be
careful of
speaking
that too, because you can't use the
we
thumb up emo because that's
man, we just all gonna go
disrespectful.
mute.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just all gonna be mute.
It's just like, I don't know. I kind of make fun of them every time when I got told that about the thumbs up emote. So anytime I, play Call of Duty or something like that, when I'm in voice chat, that's all I ever do is like
It's
when I
all
get killed.
ridiculous. It's the same like how you're not allowed to call pregnant women pregnant anymore. They're birthings person.
I mean,
I can't. I can't. I'm sorry. I
yeah.
can't take any movement serious that goes so so extreme.
Well, I
I
think
don't care what side is on. If you that extreme, you got a
yeah,
problem.
I think a lot of that has to deal with,
Honestly.
social media. They figured out that the more toxic you are on social media, the more engagement you get.
Act maybe, yes, partially. For sure, but I have a theory. I actually have a theory about this,
Okay.
okay?
All right.
And I've put a lot of thought into this over the last, like, million years now being on the internet, right? Because 'cause I'm the generation that was born and raised on the fucking internet, right? I was born 1991, so, like, literally my earliest memory is playing, pinball on the fucking computer and shit like that, right? Um, I I think what happened is, right, is that even though we have the internet now and we're like the most connected as humans that we've ever been able to be connected, right? Like we're not sending birds for messages no more, you know? We're not using ships to get shit from A to B, like at least not letters and shit,
Yeah.
right? Packages, sure. But like I'm talking like just plain snail mail, right? Like we're the most connected ever. But because of that, we are obviously, I mean, there's plenty of studies to back this up. We are also the most disconnected ever,
Oh
which is
yeah.
like very ironic, right? But here's my theory, right? I think what happened is that people are so disconnected from humanity, from normal social human interactions, not even social interactions, just human actions period, right? Like sparking a conversation with your corner store owner or
Hmm.
something, or talking to the bakery lady or whatever, you know what I mean? The gas station guy, getting to know the gas station guy. Like people are so disconnected from human interaction, but it is biologically very deeply ingrained into us that we do need to be in packs,
Oh yeah.
right? We do need to be in groups, right? If you think about it, like back to like Stone Age wise, we were all in little tribes, right? And you had the alpha and you had the main bitch, right? And then you had all the rest of the motherfuckers, right? And but everybody was content and happy because everybody had a purpose, everybody had a role, and they had their group.
Yep.
And with us being so incredibly disconnected, I think what the problem is that people are longing on a biological cellular level. They're longing for this interaction, human interaction. And what better way to interact with people who have the same interests, the same ideology, the same crazy fucking ideas, right? What better way to do that than to go on the internet? But
True.
the problem with that is that people get into echo chambers and their little bubbles, right? Where they think everything about their life and everything about their what perception of whatever, insert whatever fucking a subject here, right? That it has to be just this one thing that everybody repeats back to them, right? And
Yeah.
people have lost the art of debate.
Oh yeah.
People have lost the art of discussion,
Yep.
right? Like people are just so incredibly disconnected. while being connected in their own little echo chamber bubble, that it's created such toxic ramifications where we have then groups and certain ideologies go to the most extreme of extremes, because what else would come out of it if everybody's just repeating the same talking points and
Yeah.
then feeding off each other and hyping each other up with those points? I'm not shocked that we now are dealing with a giant epidemic of children being mutilated, all in the name of inclusivity.
Yeah.
It's
Inclusivity.
crazy, right? It's crazy. Like, had we, if anybody had told us 10 years ago, hey man, just so you know, in 10 plus years from now, this is going to be a national and international issue that you're going to be dealing with as humanity as a whole, we would have all laughed and said, y'all's crazy. What
Yep.
crack are y'all smoking? But here we are. But that's in my, and it's just my personal opinion, but I think that's what happens when humans get so disconnected from each other, that then their only form that they know of interaction is the internet. And look, the internet is a beautiful thing. I love the internet. The internet is unhinged. It's a menace. It's fun. It's beautiful.
Yep.
We sometimes see vigilante justice in the most greatest fucking ways, but it also comes with a lot of bad, right?
Yeah.
And that is unfortunately one of the side effects, that people get so involved and ingrained into their little internet bubble world that they forget to literally go outside and touch fucking grass.
Oh
Go
yeah.
outside and get to know your fucking gas clerk guy, right? Go talk to the grocery bagger and ask them how the fuck their day is going. Like, it literally costs nothing to have that little bit of interaction. And it, you do, like, there's so many studies on this, how you release oxytocin and all this, these really good feel good hormones, right?
Hmm.
People are so fucking depressed because they're not having interactions with human beings. They're not getting their little, serotonin boosts and shit like
Yep.
that. And so they go and try to find the next best thing, which is getting little serotonin boost highs from running around in echo chambers, you
Yep.
know?
No, I totally agree. I mean, yeah, because I mean, things have just gotten, just in the last, ever since, when we started with the lockdowns in 2019, 20,
Yeah.
and all that
Oh,
stuff. I mean, that really screwed a lot of people
that
up.
made so much worse. That made so
Yeah.
much worse because there were so many people who had never used the internet as a form to voice any opinion that
Hmm.
suddenly came flooding the gates of the internet. And they're like, "Oh, you guys have all this shit to say? Well, listen to what the fuck I got to say." And
Yep.
then everybody suddenly was an expert on fucking everything. Like,
Yep.
around that time is when I started deleting a lot of my social media accounts, because I could not keep watching the idiocracy happen before my fucking eyes.
Yeah. And also you got to worry about now is like, we talked a little bit about in the beginning with what's going on with X,
Right.
AI is getting so heavily embedded in,
Yes.
I mean, you don't know if half of these people you're talking to are, I mean,
Are
even
even
on X.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 it's scary.
Because I mean, you can put a prompt in, the chat GPT if you know how to prompt it, right? You
Exactly.
can write an entire novel. I mean,
Yep,
hell, they're even doing them now. I seen there was a video on YouTube I watched the other day. They're taking photographs, making an AI 4K generated
yep,
photograph, and they have another bot that goes into Discord, and you can put that image into Discord, and it will replicate several different poses of that image,
yep,
and people are putting it up on Instagram and making thousands and hundreds
yep,
of thousands of dollars off of fake
yep.
profiles off Instagram.
It's unreal. And again, it goes back to that human disconnect,
Yeah.
right?
I'm just scared because you don't know what's right, what's real, and what's not real. That's the only thing that's the reason why I'm starting to kind of learn, because I mean, AI is not perfect. So it does give you, if you pay it close enough attention, it gives you
You will
hints.
find the
Yeah.
clues. Exactly. Yep. Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
there's certain words, when I first started experiencing or experimenting with it, writing scripts and stuff like that, it's just like there's certain words that because it is a computer,
Yeah.
so it wants to think smart, and doesn't matter how much you tell it to dumb down, it still has those words you wouldn't use in normal language.
Mhm. Exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's the world has just gone mad. We have literally gone mad.
Literally.
Um, so tell us a little bit about. Okay, so you are a tattoo artist.
Mhm.
How'd that come about? Where did you? What got you interested in tattooing?
So I'll be really real, right? Most people who become a tattoo artist were like, I knew I wanted to be a tattoo artist and I made a little portfolio together and I went from shop to shop and asked for an apprenticeship and then that's going to be everybody's story, not mine. Cuz one thing you're going to find out real quick with me is nothing in my life comes easy or like everything comes really randomly by chance with me. So what happened was I have to back up a little.
Okay.
I once upon a time was a really fucked teenager. Okay? Really fucked teenager, right? And what do I mean by that? What well, I was a typical European street punk. I'm talking
Mm.
mohawk, tipped boots, the whole 9 yards, right? Like straight up street punk, okay? That was my shit. I loved it. I was all, yeah, anarchy, fuck the feds, right? Whatever, right? And so because of that, right, I had to be really cool and really hard, right? And so I did a stupid stick and poke tattoo on myself, a little hard with literally like ball pen ink and red, right? With like the worst shit you could fucking possibly put. You know, I someone taught me how to do it, you know, right? We took a sewing needle and you put like a little bit of rubber band all around it so it soaks in the ink and then you hand poke that shit, right? And so I did that, but that wasn't hard enough, right? And it was really tiny on my ankle. No one's gonna see that. And I needed to be really tough, clearly, right? Because I'm a punk. I'm 14 years old. I need to show these motherfuckers what's up, right? I'm telling you, I was a shithead. And so there was this punk in this little, mind you, I need just to paint the picture. I lived in the most non-punk cow farmer little tiny town of like less than 1,000 people that you could possibly live in Germany. Okay, nothing about it screamed anarchy whatsoever fucking ever. Okay, but it was me and this one other kid who was a punk, and I think he was like 2 years older than me. His name was like Sebastian or some shit like that, and he was real hard. He was so hard, he built a tattoo machine, right? And as a needle, it was a guitar string because that makes complete fucking sense, right? And so I was like, bet I need to befriend this guy because I need to get tatted, right? Because I need to be cool. I'm trying to be hard, right? I'm trying to show these motherfuckers what's up. And so I befriend him and then I talk him into giving me a tattoo. Now, mind you, at this time, I lived in a group home, right? So, like, I was doing this behind my social worker's back. They had no idea what the fuck I was up to, right? Because I was a shithead of a teenager. And I go over to his place at the worst time possible when I had bronchitis of all fucking things. And he had me lay down on my stomach so he could put this what was supposed to be a 5-point Nordic star because that's as punk as it comes, right? Mind you, this is 2010 or no, 2008 or some shit, right? So
Oh
this
yeah.
is when like scene and emo and all that was like really cool, but we didn't like the emo kids. We were punk. We were hard. Fuck them little bitches, right? So of course I'm gonna get a 5-point North Star because that's like punk rock as fuck. So dumb, I'm telling you. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Put this shit on my back. And he has me laying down. I have bronchitis. I'm coughing my fucking ass off, right? And this thing is going way past the first layer of the fucking epidermis. Like I swear there was times I felt it on my shoulder bone, like straight up, right? Like there was no way. And I made it to about 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. I didn't even make it to a whole fucking star before first of all the shit hurts and then second of all I was coughing so
Oh
fucking
geez.
bad so the lines were just all fucked up, right? And I was like, you know what, bro, we'll finish this another day. That clearly never fucking happened.
Oh no.
And I ended up getting made fun of so hard in the group home for it, first of all, because it's like, what the fuck? Because one of my social workers, and I still in contact with him to this day, he's like my dad, right? Low key. He's like my long lost father in a weird way. He was very punk rock when he was a teenager, and he still had that little bit of punk rock like at heart, you know. So he would always bring me CDs every week. He would bring me a plethora of CDs and was educating me in like heavy metal, punk, all this shit, goth, what you name it, right? Old school rock and roll, right? Like from the beginning, he got let me borrow guitars to try to learn guitar. I have no
Oh
rhythm
cool.
feel whatsoever, right? So I gave up very quickly on that. But I still kept like taking CDs and whatnot, right? And so anytime I do something cool with my mohawk, he of course was always was like, dude, your hair is cool. Duh, 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 duh. But when I did this tattoo thing, let me tell you, this motherfucker bullied me so
Oh
hard
no.
over it. Right? And it's funny, low key, right? Like, dude, like he would there would be times where I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go on the train today. I'm gonna go Saarbrücken and hang out with my friends in the city. He's like, hold on, let me do something real quick. Turn around. And he'd get a Sharpie and he'd finish off the rest of the
Oh.
star. He's like, there you go. Now you can go. And can you promise me to find some dumbass that will finally finish it? I'll pretend like I never told you this, right? Because I was a minor at the time. He's like, what if even, dude? So I got hella bullied with it. Well, fast forward many years later, I was emancipated at age 17, right? Meaning I was on paper a legal adult, right?
Mhm.
And so they gave me an apartment, right? The CPS did. So I wasn't living in the group home anymore. They paid for my apartment. They gave me money every month to live off while I was going to beauty school at the time and becoming a hairdresser. Ironically, the most non-tattoo thing ever, right? The most non-punk rock thing, godly ever, right? And so I was saving up money, right? And I was like, I really need to get this shit covered up because it's retarded. I got like 3.5 lines on my back. Like, but like, who the fuck even, right? And so one day I had enough money saved up and I had this whole concept design sketched out, right? Of like what to do over it. Like I had this whole idea and I Google like tattoo artists near me and in the little town that I happened to live in, because at this point now I'm living somewhere else, right? A little bit of a larger town, still small as fuck, but larger than what I was before. Um, and at least punks were there, right? I Googled and there happens to be the one and only fucking tattoo shop in this whole town, right? And I was like, bet. I'm gonna go take my shit there and see if they will accept me as a client, right? And take me on. So here's where I fucked up. I didn't research the artist of the shop. I just looked up tattoo shop, the end. Address, cool. Oh, I know where that's at. I'll walk over there. And that's what I did. Then one day I took my little like thing of money that I saved up and my little concept design and I walked into the shop, right? Cocky as fuck and eager as hell. Like I knew what the fuck I was talking about and had no idea. And this older lady is behind the counter, right? And she's like not nice looking. And when she started talking, even less so nice. Okay. Like it's very true what they say about like the German language being scary, but when someone's like potentially like a purposely not nice, like
Oh
it's even
geez.
scarier. So already I'm intimidated because I'm like 17 years old at this point, like thinking I'm hot shit, right? And she goes, how can I help you? Right? Or what do you want? Or something along the lines like that. And I was like, is the tattoo artist in today? And she goes, excuse me? And she goes, and I go, and I repeat myself again, confident as hell. I go, is the tattoo artist in? Is he here? I just assumed it was a dude immediately. And that's where I fucked up right off the
Oh
bat. I was
no.
like, is he here? Because I have this thing that I want to get covered. And I just start talking because now I'm nervous, right? And I have ADHD. So I'm like going 300 miles an hour, right? And I'm like, I have this thing I really want to cover it up. And I have a concept design and I have money and I really want to get it covered up. And how soon can you get me in to start working on this? And oh, by the way, I'm also emancipated. So I can legally sign for this. I don't need parental consent. And I'm just going, right?
Oh
And she
geez.
won't, and she's not saying anything. So I keep talking because I'm so nervous. And finally she looks at the concept design, right? And then looks at me and then goes, who drew this? Right? And I go, I did. And she looks at me and she looks at the concept design and she looks back at me. And now in my head, I'm even more nervous because I'm like, oh my God, it's so stupid. What
Oh.
was I doing? Right? It's like I'm getting in my head. And she goes, well, first off, she goes, I am the artist and this is my
Oh no.
shop. And so immediately I'm like, fuck.
It's
And
kind of like your waiter. You don't piss off your waiter. You don't piss off your
right.
tattoo artist.
I immediately right off the bat, right? I immediately fucked up. And she goes, you drew this. And I go, yeah. She's like, you sure? And I'm like, yes. She goes, I'll see you Saturday at 9 a.m. And I was like, okay. And I'm thinking, I'm coming there at Saturday, 9 a.m. to get tatted, right? And I walk into the shop Saturday, 9 a.m., eager as hell with my snack and my little MP3 player, because that was the thing at the time, right? And I'm like ready, and I got batteries to go in case my MP3 player dies, and da 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 da. Like I'm ready. And she goes, sit down. And I go, okay. And I sit down at this desk, and she starts making me draw 1 inch lines, rows of them, just line for line. And if I fucked up, she made me start over and over. And I was like, I don't know. Is this what is this what they do before you get tatted? Because I don't know, right? Because
Yeah.
again, my only experience has been homeboy's basement, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And so that went like that for 8 hours of nothing drawing but 1 inch lines. And then at the end of the day, she's like, okay, clean up. And so I cleaned up the desk area, still very confused, but very submissive for some reason because she was very scary. And she says, come back tomorrow at 9 a.m. again. And so that Sunday, I came back again at 9 a.m. and she did the same thing over. And then I just kept coming back. She never formally asked me to be her apprentice. She just made me come every day to the shop, right? Whether I was in beauty school or not, if I was in beauty school during the day, I had to come back after school, then to her, to the shop to draw. Or when I got my first machine, she gave it to me literally in a bag of parts. She's like, figure it out, right? These
Oh,
were the
geez.
old school machines back then, the coil machines, right? So she's like, figure it out. This is your machine, build it. And I was like, and there was no YouTube video back then on how to build your coil machine, how to assemble your coil machine correctly, how to test your coil machine, how to da 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 da. There was no videos for that. You know how many times I got zapped, dude, the fuck
Oh,
out of me, like because I wired it wrong, because I built it together wrong, like, and I wasn't allowed to go over and look at her machine. Right. I had to
oh,
figure
geez.
it out. Like she was real hardcore, but I'm so appreciative of her because of how her training the way she was. Like I learned so fucking much, like, that was so ingrained and instilled into me, you know what I mean? So grateful for it. Like, even all the way down to, like, the medical side of things, right? Which is something that a lot of tattoo artists don't think go hand in hand, but it really, 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 really does, right? Just having basic anatomy knowledge, basic biology knowledge, a basic, epidermis issues and diseases and illnesses that come right with it, like having just a basic baseline, right? So the lady who I learned from, she was a like head teaching nurse at like a major hospital for over 25 years before, in her words, she got bored and went into body modification, right? And so then she became a tattoo artist, like taught herself tattoo artist and body mods, right? Like all the way down, like splitting tongues, doing piercings, you name
Oh,
it, Prince
wow.
Albert shit, everything, right? And because she had such a great understanding of the human body and the human anatomy, right? So I had to learn a lot of that same shit, similar shit, like what nurses have to learn in my first year, like working under her, right?
Oh,
Alongside
wow.
while doing the normal tattoo artist shit, right? Like cleaning the shop, booking clients, building your machine, learning how to draw, tattooing your first skin. The amount of pig heads I tattooed, right? And that's something now that's so controversial in the tattoo scene because everybody's gone fucking soft as shit. Oh, the poor pigs,
Yeah.
them motherfuckers was gonna get butchered anyways. That was our thing back in the day. We had to tattoo on pig heads first before we were allowed on human skin. Now motherfuckers gotten soft and they're like, oh, here's this fake artificial shit that's not anything like skin at all. Learn how to tattoo on that. Right. And pig skin is the closest thing to human skin, like texture wise for
Yeah.
So that's like how old school my background with that.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, she did pass like a year and a half into me like working under her. So I never was like fully able to finish my training back then for a hot minute, right? Until I then did. But yeah, but that's how that happened. I never looked for an apprenticeship. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't even know that was something you could do.
Oh,
And she
wow.
never formally asked me. She just made me.
She saw the talent.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's crazy too because I was always artistic since I was little. Like I was at 8 years old doing hyper realistic pencil sketches on notebooks of like my baby sister at the time who was like an infant, right? Like at 8 years old, that was just normal to me, right? But my whole life growing up, because I came from a poor family background, back in the 90s, you were told, "Oh, you can't be an artist because you have to be born into certain families that have certain connects," right? That was the thing that you used to say in the 80s and the 90s, right?
Yep.
So my whole life growing up, 90s into early 2000s, I was told my whole life, "You can't be an artist. You need to find a real job. You need to be more realistic with what you find. Nobody makes art. Artists do not make money." Little did I know that I would be the first person in my family to buy a house, own businesses, like buy brand new cars, etc., from being a fucking artist. No one had told me, "Oh, you can be a tattoo artist." I don't know if you know. You don't have to be a painter to be an artist. Like there's many avenues of art that you can. I mean, even in today's day and age now with graphic design and stuff like that and digital artistry and stuff you know what I mean? There's just so many ways how you can make money off art. But I came from the generation that was told you can't do that, and yet I'm the only one in my family who did the damn thing and all the things.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Back in the day, it's just like that's the way a lot of people worked back then too. It's just like they would find the talent and they would basically do what they did. They would take you under
Yep.
their wing and
Yep.
form you into what they knew you had the potential to. And I
Yep.
think it's a lot what's lacking in today's world is, we got, pushing to go to college, pushing to do this, pushing to do that.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
and I mean, you see a lot of talented people, just like with the streaming world, I see a lot of talented people that could do stuff outside of streaming, but they're
That
stuck on
don't even get
streaming.
me started on that because it breaks my heart. I see so many, like, really smart people throw entire careers, entire college, like, time away in the hopes that they're gonna be the next best big thing on
Yeah.
like, when it comes to streaming. The next thing you know, they're in debt, they're losing their homes, their cars, their this, their that, and whatever the fuck. It's crazy to me
Yeah.
how, like, unrealistic people are when it comes to streaming.
Yeah.
Streaming used to be a thing about having fun, right? It used to be a
Yeah.
way to have fun, to meet other people within whatever said fucking drama it was that you were streaming in, right? Whether it was gaming, music, this, that, whatever, art. But nowadays everybody gets into it and they think they're gonna be the next big thing, right? And like I just watched someone not too long ago, like literally throw his entire career away and everything, like all these scholarships that this kid had and everything, threw it all away because he had 1 good month of streaming, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Buddy, have 18 good months in a row, and then maybe think about, like, doing it part-time or something,
Yeah.
man. Like, you can't just you know what I mean? It's so sad, it's so sad.
Yeah. It's like I said, I mean, this is just like, this is just like anything else that you do work for yourself. It's like it could be great today, but it could be gone tomorrow.
Yep.
For
Yep.
one, these platforms aren't guaranteed to keep running on a day to day basis. So,
No, and no one's safe from cancel culture. Let's
no.
be also really realistic about that, like, no one's safe from cancel culture, you know?
I mean, that's one thing about cancel culture. It's like, yeah, go ahead and cancel me. I mean, it's fine. I'll just find another way to come back around.
Right. There's no such thing as
Uh,
bad
Um,
publicity.
exactly. But no, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I like that. Like I said, I think that that's inspiring but again, you don't see that anymore. I mean, even like in some of the businesses nowadays, in today's generation, you just don't see a lot of people taking people under their wings. And
Because also, because of the internet, I feel like a lot of people have become egomaniacs, right?
that
And
makes
so
sense.
a big thing that I see specifically within my industry is that people don't wanna pass on the chair.
Yeah, that
Pass
makes sense.
the fucking chair on. You're not gonna be hot shit in this industry forever, especially as a I don't know if you know, but the average, like, lifespan of a tattoo artist, like, career-wise, is 7 to 9 years. So anything past 9 years, you're like a Vietnam War veteran at that point, you
Wow.
know what I mean? Like, yeah, so when you hear someone's like, "Oh, I've been in the industry 20 years," they're fucking veteran, like, through and through. They
Wow.
have not only seen it all, they have heard it all, they have experienced it all, you know what I mean? Like, nothing shocks the motherfuckers anymore, right? But the average person in this industry lasts 7 to 9 years, and a big problem with that is because you'll have the older or the old school generation of tattooers who don't want to get with the times, don't want to pass the chair on, don't want to get with how even just like technique wise, how things are changing, machinery wise, things have been changing. Everything's becoming modernized, right? And there's pros and cons to anything changing, right?
Yep.
But like when you're talking about dealing with open fucking wounds, the get with the fucking times, right? Like we need to stop being ignorant to the fact that it's an open wound. It's not a tattoo until it's healed. It's a fucking gaping open wound. We're literally destroying your epidermis in the name of fucking art. You know, like
Yeah.
we got to remind people that, you know. And you just see a lot of these old schoolers, man, just like using apprentices as literally just free labor, right? Working them damn near to fucking death for no pay, because mind you, an apprentice makes no money during
Yeah.
their apprenticeship until like maybe towards the end of the apprenticeship. And even then, they're having to pay either booth rent then at that point, or they're having to straight up pay a percentage of what it is that they're making. Right. And so you just see a lot of shitty shop owners and a lot of shitty fucking old schoolers that don't like take into account that these are human beings and that these are people that your name is going to be tied to. This person was trained under insert artist here,
Yep.
right? And then you put in now with nowadays with the egomania on top of it. Oh my god, people get in their fucking fifis if they have an apprentice that turns out to be better artist than them. They get in their fifis about it. Oh, you're taking my clients away. Da, da, da. What the
Yep.
fuck do you care if you're the fucking shop owner? You're making money off of it regardless. I'm sorry, if I take on an apprentice and my apprentice turns out to be 100 times better of a tattoo artist than me, that's awesome. That means I get to work less and still make money. Why am I being mad at that?
There you go.
Do you know what I mean? But a lot of
Yeah.
these tattoo artists get hell in their fucking head, and they turn into these like arrogant.
You
Look,
go.
and I'll
Yep.
be honest. It takes a certain individual to be a tattoo artist. Not everybody can be a tattoo artist. Not just art wise. Everybody thinks it has to come down to art. I've seen incredible artists come into the tattoo world, and the tattoo world eat them up and spit them back out alive in under a fucking year.
Wow.
Okay, it's a very harsh and very competitive industry. You have to be a certain mindset, right? And so I joke, but it's kind of not a joke, right? I always say there's certain individuals that become tattoo artists. They're either egomaniacs, like just naturally, they're narcissists, right? Or they're sadomasochists,
Mm.
right? Like you have to be of a certain mindset to be okay with not only causing severe trauma to someone's body in the name of fucking art, but putting that on someone's body that they're literally going to carry for the rest of their life. That's a very egomaniac thing in itself, if you think about it. It's like the ultimate art
I didn't
form,
think about that. Yeah.
putting your art on someone's body and they're going to carry that into the day they get put 6 foot under the ground. Right? There's nothing else that you're ever going to invest into that you're going to be able to take to your grave with you but your tattoos. For sure, right? So it's a
Yeah.
very egomaniac thing if you think about it, right? So certain individuals last in this industry, right? You have to be kind of full of yourself to make it some type of way, you know?
No, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. I wouldn't even have thought of that way. I just
Mhm.
figured, So I mean, like I said, I always loved learning and expanding my knowledge, and just something like that. I always loved tattooing. I don't have one. I've always wanted one, but I always tell myself I'm waiting for that right moment because, like you said, it's
Yeah.
on you for life. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want something that's not that's not meaningless to me. I
I
want
always tell
something.
people they should wait. Always wait long as possible because I was dumb when I was young. I ruined a lot of real estate on my body for the sake of tattooing versus for the quality
Mm,
of work,
yeah, I've
right?
seen that.
And now I have so much of my real estate used up with nonsense to the point that I've been just blacking shit out straight up or whatever, right? That I can't even like there's so many cool stuff that I wish I could do to my body tattoo wise that I can't even do because I ruined so much fucking real estate for just the sake of getting tattooed versus
Oh wow.
the quality of the tattoos, you know? So I tell
Yeah.
everybody always like, wait, I had a lady come a couple years ago, was like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. She was 75 years old and came and got a giant, essentially self portrait of herself with big old titties because she spent a lot of money on her boobies and she wanted her self portrait to reflect that, wrapped in a quilt because the lady was big into quilting because typical 75-year-old grandma, right?
Yeah.
In full color on her thigh, like giant. I mean, at least 12 inches long, right? And probably good like 8 to 10 inches wide. Huge piece,
Wow.
right? Yeah, yeah. 75 years old. Was her first giant tattoo. The only other tattoo she had was a little tiny thing that she got in like back in 71 on her ankle.
And that was to
Yeah,
probably get back at mom and dad.
for sure. Mhm.
I'm gonna get a tattoo, but you're never gonna see
Either
it.
that or it was for a first love that obviously didn't last.
Yeah, that too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so what was the most challenging thing getting, since you were only able to, apprentice under her for such a short time? How did you actually get out on your own and start doing tattooing?
I forced myself. So for a hot minute, I had nothing to do with tattoos because I was very, very devastated when she died. Because she was killed in a drunk driving
Oh,
incident.
geez.
She was sober. It was the person who hit her. Some 18-year-old was like went fly, and it was like on country roads too. And he was just flying, and she died instantly. So I was very devastated about it because I felt like for the first time in my artistic self life, right? That I actually had artistically finally a fucking purpose. And then that was like taken from me. So I didn't do shit for a really long time. I tried to like work a little bit here and there under other shops. It wasn't it. And eventually just got a kit and just pushed myself, just pushed myself and did the things and started working at different shops and different little studios and stuff like that, especially once I came to the States and I was done having kids and all that stuff. Cause I did take a break also because of that partially. Right. And yeah. And then just really pushed myself. And really how it happened though, that I started like working for myself and started doing my own thing and really doing my own thing when it came to art wise was I worked for a shop that was the most disorganized circus of a fucking business that I don't know how they're still in business to this day. I question it all the time, right? I have no idea, but it was so disastrous and it was so bad and there was so much fucking drama and it was like almost 90% all women shop, right? And the owners were married and always tried to bring everybody into their marital problems and into their business problems when no one was hired to run their business to begin with. Like we were all 1099s, and yet I was opening the shop and staying till closing, sometimes till 2 o'clock in the morning. Right. Like crazy shit.
Wow.
There's so much drama. And it was just so bad that I swore to myself I was never gonna work for someone again, like in a shop ever again. And another thing too is like European work ethic and American work ethic are two different worlds. Right? Like a lot of Americans like to joke how like Slavic people like work like fucking horses or like Mexicans work like it is true. There is different types of work ethics culturally,
Mhm.
right? And I hated working at I can't stand like a lot of American tattoo artists work ethics because they're very lazy, right? Like for example, when someone comes to get tatted with me, my shit's already set up. 9 times out of 10, my stencil's already printed out. Like, I'm ready to rock and roll the second the person walks in through the door. What I can't stand is these American tattoo artists, right? You'll have an appointment, you'll show up, they're late. They're never there on time. They're late. And then it takes them 1 to 2 hours to set the fuck up. And then another 1 to 2 hours to draw because they don't even have your shit fucking drawn up, let alone printed and ready to be stenciled, right? So now you've sat there for like anywhere from 2 to fucking 4 hours before they're ready to start tattooing you, and they're charging you by the hour, mind you, for this
Oh,
bullshit.
screw that.
Right?
Yeah,
Right?
I'd be
They're
gone.
charging you by right. But see, but most Americans don't. They just fucking take it. They're like, "Yep," and swipe the
Nope.
fucking
Nope.
card. And I'm like, dude, so that was like it comes all the way down to like work ethic wise. I cannot work for another American shop ever again because just the work ethic is not on par with mine. right? By the time my client's out the fucking door, my shit's already all torn down and cleaned and is sitting sterilizing and etc. Right? Like I have a whole system and a whole routine that's just fucking ingrained into me from day one. And I just can't be like that. Or like, for example, where I differ from most tattoo artists start at like noon or 1 in the afternoon. First of all, I'm a single mom and I have 3 kids, right? My day starts at 6 a.m. every day. If I had to start my workday then at 1 p.m., do you know how fucking tired I am? I'm not gonna last 8 hours for a tattoo session, right? So I
Oh
start
yeah.
early as fuck in the morning. You want to get tatted by me, you're gonna be here early in the morning. And you better have breakfast in your system, right? Like, because you're gonna be sitting here for a hot minute. You know what I mean? Like, I don't play that shit. I can't start like halfway through the day and then end in the middle of the fucking like that is crazy to me. It's so crazy to me. Um, but it works. It works. My system works. It works well for the clientele that I have because I am a female tattoo artist, right? I want to say 85% of my clients are women. Probably 60% of them are mothers, right? Who
Oh
have
yeah.
children. So my schedule, the way I work is perfect because it's during school hours. So moms drop their kids off, they put their gangster music on, come to the tattoo shop, come get tatted, and then go back home and play soccer while mom again for the rest of the fucking day. It works, you know? It works.
So how okay, so for just like a basic tattoo, just a small tattoo, how long does it take to put one on?
So I'm very fast at tattooing. I have to start off with that. The way, like, how fast I am at tattooing is not normal with most tattoo artists. Most tattoo artists take their time. They're very slow. Da, da, da. And it's not. I'm not saying that negative. That's just their work speed. That's their workflow, right?
Yeah.
And that's what works for them. Not me, because I got shit to do. I'm trying to get some shit done, right? And especially because I specialize predominantly in larger pieces. When I do a small thing, it takes me in total the whole service under 30 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But
going back
that's
in,
why I don't do small shit too,
yeah.
because I am very fast, and for what I would have to charge for small pieces, people are not gonna wanna pay that when they can go on
Mm,
Friday the 13th and pay $13 for a little something, you know what I mean? And I
yeah.
respect that, right? So for me, personally, I specialize in large scale tattoos only, right? So for me, a small tattoo, if it's not the hand or the throat, those are the only exceptions, right? Because there's only so much skin there, right? For me, a small tattoo is 8 by 10 inches. That's the small size
Oh
I'm willing
wow.
to go, and I go from there up. So I'm doing straight up sleeves, quarter body suits, and stuff like that. Half body suits, full body suits, etc. Big, big,
Wow.
giant pieces. Yeah. Hmm.
So how long does it take to do a sleeve? Say just a mid sleeve.
So it always depends, right? Like it depends on what it is and what's being done. If it's something in hyper realism, that's going to take the longest because the way hyper realism tattooing works is very similar to that of like if you watched a time lapse painting of like an acrylic, a time lapse video of like acrylic painting or like an oil painting, like a hyper realistic one, because you're going in for shade, and
Mm.
there's no outlining done when you do hyper realism. It's straight done from shade work, right, or from color work, right?
Oh wow.
So that takes the longest, right? If you're doing something, for example, that as simplified as American traditional, you can have a sleeve, depending on the artist's like speed and all that stuff, right? You could have it done fairly easy in like anywhere from 1 to 3 tattoo sessions, right? I've had sleeves that I've done that I've gotten done in like 2 sessions, but we're talking like 2 8-hour sessions back to back, right? So
Oh
16
wow.
hours in total, you know what I mean? I've had also sleeves, like my longest sleeve that I've ever done was 85 hours in total, and it took a year and a half to do because it was so
What?
multi-dimensional layered. Yeah, it was a lot.
All right.
It
So
was
if
a
I get,
lot.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I get a tattoo. It's just gonna be a small one.
There you
My
go. Well,
my
yeah, that's a
my.
good way to start, you know?
Well, no, my ability to sit still for that long period of
Yeah.
time, I would not. You would have to put me out. You would
Right,
literally have to
right,
give me
right,
some
right.
Valium or
Oh,
something.
trust me, I have some clients that are like they have like ADD or ADHD, and they're like little bumblebees in
Yeah,
the fucking
that
chair
would
and
that would be
wiggling.
me.
Or I have this one client, she's like, "I need to get up and walk. It's my time to walk." And I was like, "Go walk, go do your thing, right?" And she'll walk around in a circle for like 15 minutes. She's like, "Okay, I got it out of my system. I can sit now for another hour." I'm like, "Let's go." You
Oh, geez.
know?
Yeah, that would. I mean, I knew it took a long time, but yeah,
Again, it
86
always
hours?
depends on the artist. It
Yeah.
always depends on the style, on the technique, color, no color. Like color takes way longer than black and gray work, right? Black and gray work is done fairly quickly in comparison to full color, right? And that doesn't matter if you're doing realism work or neo-traditional work or even American traditional, right? Like color is always going to take the longest out of anything. Um, but yeah. So it always varies, right?
So I'm kind of curious. I'm always curious about, the different, you see these different aspects of tattoos, and we'll show some of your stuff that if you go to our Instagram page, I'll put the links and stuff like that in the description of the videos and stuff. But if you go to her Instagram page, she has all of her work on there, and it's amazing.
Thank you.
But that's why I had to ask her. I go, is everything on? Because sometimes tattoo artists will find something and they'll just put it on there that they
Right,
like to
right,
do. So
right.
I had to ask her. I go, are all these yours? And she said yes. Like so.
Yep.
So what is your most weirdest tattoo that you've done, like off the wall?
Oh, I it wasn't necessarily the tattoo itself, it was the location of the tattoo.
Mm.
And it was something I've always wanted to do. I recently tattooed someone's armpit. They got a giant barnacle in their armpit and it came like out towards their shoulder, but it's literally like in the armpit, in the armpit. And it was my first time tattooing an armpit. And I've been tattooing forever now, right? Since 2009, right? So this is a long time. And literally out of everything, like that was such a interesting experience because the skin texture was so different, particularly like in the armpit, right? Especially because you're dealing with sweat glands and all that fun jazz, and then there's lymph nodes there that tend to swell up if there's being trauma done, which obviously happened. And but it was very interesting. It was very interesting, and it was a very, very cool experience. So location wise, that so far is the weirdest. Now, my dream tattoo that is really weird to do that I have not had the honor to do yet, but I swear, like, if it ever happens, I'm going to die the happiest person on planet Earth. I've always wanted to tattoo a mandala around someone's asshole. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I just think it would be really fucking
Huh.
cute. And I have yet to find someone
Who's
who's
willing to do
fucking
it?
down for the cause because just the position that they have to go in, they have to spread their cheeks for me, right?
Oh,
So they have to essentially go into doggy position while spreading their own cheek. So it's a very uncomfortable position for
yeah.
the client to begin with, and then it's a very uncomfortable area because you have to be really down for the cause, right? For me to be all up in there, you know. Um yeah, that's one of my dream tattoos. But yeah, weirdest thing that I've ever tattooed. I you know, such a bitchy tattoo artist. I'm not even gonna front about it. I don't accept weird shit on it. Like don't get me wrong. I'll accept project where I'm selling my soul a little bit. Like, oh, I've done this concept 100,000 times, but this is gonna pay my bills this month, right? But I've never taken anything on where I'm like, I don't want to do it. Now, the weirdest inquiry I can say was one of my clients, and I love him to pieces. Shout out to Ken, best diesel mechanic I've ever met in my life. He is the dude of dudes. He is so a man. It's not even funny. Like it's such a dude, like just such a traditional mechanic dude, right? Anytime he comes, all that gets talked about is smash or pass, titties and ass, right? The whole 9 yards. And he lost a bet with someone and had to he the part of the bet was that he lost, he had to get a mustache on the tip of his dick tatted. And then like
What?
on the side, like along the shaft, something gentleman, very gentleman or something like that. And so he hit me up and he was like, Jane, and because I'd done a lot of work for him, right? And I still tattoo him to this day. He's like, Jane, you're literally the only person I would trust to do this for me. And I lost the bet and I need to do this. And I was like, absolutely not. I was like, I love you, but absolutely fucking not. I was like, first of all, are you a grower or a shower? Right? He's like, I'm a grower. I was like, yeah, this is already not gonna work. I was like, you do realize I'm gonna need you to be erect for this, right? And I'm gonna be stabbing your dick
Mm.
hundreds of times with a needle. You do, and you have to remain erect for me during this, right? Like this is literally gonna be the only way. He was like, Oh, I didn't even think about all this. I'm like, I know. I can tell you didn't think any of this through, Kenneth. I was like, this is not happening. You're
Oh,
crazy.
jeez.
So I didn't do it. The only dick that I'm ever gonna be willing to tattoo is Steve-O's because that's the only one in the world that makes sense because it's fucking Steve-O, right? But other than that, uh-uh. Nope. Nope.
All right, I do have one that they're Chinita.
Yes.
So when okay, they put "I'm down"
That's
in
my
the
best
chat.
friend in Puerto Rico. I love her to fucking pieces.
So are you talking about getting
She's
the?
probably about talking about the booty hole tattoo.
I just seen that pop up, and I'm like, okay, are you talking about that one?
Has to be. She's like, I'll do it. She's always down for shit.
Yep, she said
That's
that
a
was
real
it.
bestie. Yep. See? There we go. Maybe we'll live stream it.
Oh, that
I'm
would be
sure I'll
interesting.
get shut down on Kick real fucking fast if I did that. I'd probably go viral real quick too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I almost guarantee it would.
Live streamer tattoo someone's booty hole live on stream on Kick. And then everybody's gonna be like, there's Kick again. Fucking Kick.
Yeah, the only place on the internet you can do that, is
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I should message Eddie. Hey Eddie, can I tattoo a booty hole live on the platform, please?
they and just he would probably die laughing when you asked him, and he would probably let you do it as long as.
He might. He might. I should try my luck. Be like,
Yep.
hey Eddie, great big fan. Let me tattoo someone's booty hole on your
I,
platform.
I
Please.
guarantee if they promoted that, I guarantee it would probably be the most watched stream on Kick.
Be hilarious.
You would
Be
probably break numbers if they promoted it for you.
Right.
So let's take a look at some of the stuff you've done, because like I said, I really love. Oh, I don't want to share it right now. Do, 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 do. There. Make sure I'm in the right screen. I forgot to set all this up before I started.
Oh, you're good, no worries.
I always forget something. All right, so get this set right. Change aspect ratios. Right. All right. So look at some of her work. Like I said, this is on her Instagram page. And like I said, she's got a bunch of posts on here from some of the work. I know one of the things that really drew my attention when I was going through here, see if I can find it again real quick. I know it was up here. It looked like a red black widow spider. It was real detailed. Yeah, this one.
There it is. Yes.
This one just kind of like popped out at me. Let me clear out.
Such a pretty piece too.
I don't want to show all of it. Sorry, I'm editing in the process. I think that's the only thing I like about this program.
Oh, you're good.
All right, there we go. A little bit closer. Yeah, this one here, I mean, it just pops. I mean,
super pretty. I like that piece too.
I know it's a one-dimensional, but it's actually looks like it's three-dimensional.
A little bit, yeah. I did drop a little bit of drop shadows underneath the spider to give it that effect. Yep.
So I mean, this is some of her work that just goes to show the talent that's behind what she's done, and yeah, the whole apprenticeship thing paid out for her. See what some of the other ones. Is there a favorite one on here that?
If you scroll all the way up, there should be a sleeve that's like black with pink florals. That's right there. Yep, that at
This
the
one?
very top. Nope, not that one. Very, very top.
Oh, there it is.
Yes, that's my favorite piece right now. That's I've never entered any of my work into any competitions like at like tattoo conventions, but this year this is the piece that I'm finally entering because I am so madly in love with it. So madly in love. And this is not even the finished product yet. This is like 3/4 way done.
Oh wow.
So we one more session to go on it, and then it will be finally done. But yeah, she came to me with this concept idea. She had gotten a body painting done similar to this on that arm, same concept style, but as body paint. And she sent me photos. She's like, I'm obsessed with this. I really want to do this as a idea. And I was like, please. I literally cried tears of joy. I was like, please, can we? I'm so down. And I'm so in love with the results and how well it has been coming together over this time. It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it's very detailed and very okay. So I'm taking this as like a multi-layer. So you started out with the black first.
So I outlined everything and I outlined everything first, so all the way down, like, the ankle cuff, and the top of the arm, right, and all the florals. I outlined all that, and I started all the black work first. So I got 3/4 of the black work plus the line work done in one single 8-hour session,
So
which,
ha-
again, any other artist would probably be 3 sessions of that. I got it done in 1.
so I mean, how much detail is it in doing the black?
So the black itself is very flat, right? It's very one-dimensional, very flat. I make my own black. That's why it's so solid and beautiful the way that
Okay.
is. Yeah, so that's just one layer. That's not even a touch up on the black yet. That's literally one pass over it.
I mean, how does this? I mean, how does that embedded in the skin? Because I mean, how do you get the black
So
to?
so the way tattoo ink works, right? It works on a cellular epidermis level, right?
Mhm.
So the way it works is you have pigment, right? And specifically with tattoo ink, specific black ink, for example, black ink has the smallest pigment particles, right? And these pigment particles is what latches on into your epidermis on a cellular level, and that's how that is able to maintain. Now there is
Okay.
such thing as overdoing it, right? If you go too deep into the skin, you can cause what's like deep tissue contusions, so deep tissue bruising, right? It can happen, and then pigment travels with this bruise. Now your body knows how to absorb old blood, right? Your bruise over time, the bruise
Mhm.
goes away. However, when you have pigment travel with that, the pigment stays. And so you'll see this often on like old tattoos that were done like during like old army days,
Okay.
right? So if you see like old army cats like that served like 30 some years ago and you look at their tattoos, you'll more often not notice like a green or like a blue hue
Yep.
around the tattoo, and that's because the ink was injected way too deep into the epidermis, right?
Okay.
So there is such thing as too much, and that's a big part of tattoo training. Part of your apprenticeship is understanding the depths and how aggressive and how deep you can actually go on the skin, right? And everybody's skin is also different. Like some people might have really soft tissue. Like she, for example, has really soft skin. It's like think of it as taking a hot knife to butter, right? It's just it's such soft tissue. So with her, I didn't have to do really a lot of work, right? It just her shit just soaks it up. But then there's people where we call it like elephant skin, right? They got such thick skin and you have to really jackhammer that shit to even get in to begin with for it to latch on, right?
That would probably be
Um
mine.
so black, that's why black is the most used ink and the most used color out of everything because it has the smallest pigment particles and it is the easiest ink to get latched on. The hardest pigments to get latched on is, fun fact, blue, purple, and white.
Hmm.
With white specifically, we know it has to do because white has the biggest pigment particles out of all inks. So when we're using white, we already go deeper into the tissue than we would with any other color for it to latch on a cellular level. And again, it has to do with the pigment particle sizing, right? But when it comes to purple and blue, we still on a chemical scientific level, we still don't know why, but
Oh wow.
it is a known thing, a known issue amongst the tattoo art in the tattoo world on how hard it is to put purple, especially like lighter shades of purple, right? We're not even talking necessarily lilacs, just like lighter shades in general of purple, and blues. It's just the hardest thing. So some artists will swear on certain companies' pigments, and others will swear on the, technique. And yeah, I think it just has to do with, I think we're going to get studies in a couple of years on this, that it's going to have to do with a biological cellular level and not actually with the ink itself, that some people are just more receptive to inks than they are to others.
Yeah.
I truly believe we're gonna get a study that's gonna show this. Because I think that's what it is. I don't know. I'm speaking completely anecdotally here. I'm not a scientist, but I believe that's probably what it is.
Well, I mean, when it comes to this, I mean, basically, you have to be some type of a scientist, you know, in a way, because you've got to understand how the chemicals work within the
Yes,
skin.
you have to be a scientist, you have to be low key a nurse, and you have to be a color theory master.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is too, like, if you don't understand color theory, you really can't get into tattooing because it's people think tattooing and, like, drawing on paper is the same thing, and let me tell you, it's absolutely not, because first of all, your paper is white. So any pigment you're gonna put on top of white is gonna look amazing. But when you're dealing with human skin, you're dealing with shades and hues of different melanin contents and stuff like that, right? Like, the whiter the skin, the less melanin, the darker the skin, the more melanin, and these can all have an effect. And then melanin comes in different shades, right? Some can be more magenta, some can be more olive, some can be more yellow, some can be more this, more that, right? And some can be a little bit more greener, right? And so if you don't understand color theory, right, and you just try to slap whatever pigment on top of a canvas that's already naturally pigmented, you're not going to get great results from it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my arm, actually.
This is your arm.
Yep.
Was you trying to cover something up, or are you what?
Yeah,
Why do you
blacking
do
the
that?
whole arm out. Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
That, and I also really enjoy the aesthetic of heavy blackouts too.
Yeah, I just thought that was. I mean, I didn't know if that was like. I mean, so how does that get placed in your? I mean, how do you do? Is that like the normal
So,
tattooing?
specifically, so this is my ink that I made myself. So it's 6 time pigmented. Usually the only thing you can buy money-wise is like triple pigmented. This is 6 time pigmented. So it's very, very heavy in pigment. So the way the blackouts specifically work is you use giant needles. And
Oh,
what I
okay.
mean by that, I can actually show you. So a regular shading needle is gonna look like this. You have like a smaller tip, right? You see up top there.
Okay.
That's a normal shading needle, right? But when you do blackouts, now this is a smaller blackout needle, but the one that I used for this is this times 4. So this is a lot bigger. It's a shovel, but the
Oh,
one that
okay.
I use is like this big in
Okay.
comparison
Okay.
and has 128 needles in it.
Wow.
So it's a shovel with needles, literally. But those specifically are just purely for blackouts because you're not packing any small details or anything, you're not shading a little small shit. You're just blacking it out, right? But when you work with smaller stuff or smaller or actual detailed, pieces, you would never use a shovel like that to
Okay.
pack it. And
Yeah.
these are fairly new needles too. These have only came out in the last 2 or 3 years. So we didn't even have these beforehand. We were using the small tiny shit to do the black packing, and it was a big pain in the ass.
Yeah. These are just like I said when I was looking through these things, all these photos on here. It's just like this is like amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, like I said, I've I've seen some, but like you were talking about in the past, people that try to think they're artists and do their own stuff, or have somebody that
Mhm.
tries to. Yeah, they just. Yeah, this is 100% professional artistic ability. I mean, things like that. I mean, come
That
on.
sleeve right next to that image that you just clicked, the one with the fern on the neck, that's the sleeve that took 85 hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that it was a lot. There's a lot going on in that
Yeah,
piece.
you can tell there's a lot of detail.
Yeah, like, there's some parts of it where there's, like, fern on top of, like, a mandala, for example. Like, it's crazy, like, how intricate and detailed, and it was not easy piece to do, but she came in. It was her own fault. She knows it. I love her to pieces. I still tattoo her to this day. She came
Was
in.
this her design?
Here's what happened. She found me on Instagram, was obsessed with my work right away, and said, "I have a virgin arm," meaning, like, no tattoos existing on it, right? "I have a virgin arm and no budget. Do whatever the fuck you want, as long as it has Pacific Northwest flowers, a single rose somewhere, and Pacific Northwest foliage and mandalas. Do whatever. I don't care." And I took that very literal.
Mhm. Looks like
I
it.
I took that very literal. Yeah, so
Oh,
that whole piece in total took like a year and a half to work on.
wow. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, I mean, just some of these. I mean, okay, so what is the hardest part on the body to actually tattoo?
Um, that I hate, and you'll hear this from almost every single tattoo artist will say this. The neck and throat are so incredibly like difficult to tattoo. Absolutely incredibly, because it's very stretchy skin. It's a very odd area, and you can't stretch the skin or apply pressure like you would on any part of the body because you can suffocate people, right?
Yeah,
So so it's very it's yeah, it's not a fun area, and it hurts your back like a motherfucker too. So bad.
yeah, because you do you have one on you have one on your neck, don't you?
Yeah, I have both, like, my whole all round tattooed. I have a self-portrait in the back, I have a peony on one side, I have bats on another side, and then I have a whole piece in the front.
That's just amazing. That is amazing work. There's a little bit more of a
Yeah, I've been collecting for a hot minute now. And I
that's
go
just
through these phases too, like, I'll go through these phases where I'll get tatted nonstop, like, every other day for, like, weeks on end, and then I won't do anything for years because all that healing, it sucks.
oh yeah. How long does it take? Like when you did that one for 70 hours. I mean, how long in between sessions did you
She came on a fairly regular basis until about the end, until we got to the end of things, just because life was happening for her. I think she was going through a divorce at the time, and so, she wasn't coming as regularly, towards the end, but for the longest time, we were on a every 2 to 4 week basis, straight
Oh
up.
wow.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get this. Talking about some of our art and stuff like that. This is what we were
My baby,
this is her car. See if I can get it all in here. Here we go.
my baby. She's so cute.
See what I can do with that.
She's so pretty.
So this is something else, that she's also, like I said,
Yeah.
very talented when it comes to graphics, period.
This is one of my hobbies. This is one of the things I don't do for a living. This is purely for me. This is a 2008 V8 Hemi engine Dodge Charger decommissioned cop car. And it has all the original cop attachments to it. So the lights, the whoop whoop, the speaker, all the things. And I've owned this car for a little over a year now, and I have slowly started modifying her and doing things to her, cosmetics wise. I'm not fully ready yet to modify her, on a technical side just yet. The goal is eventually to drop a Hellcat engine into her. That's the goal. But right now I'm doing all the cosmetic work to her first, since that's a little bit easier to do. Yeah, that's what she looked like before I started doing all the shit on the outside to her. She was just all black. I was a whole terrorist on the road to a lot of people. A lot of people not happy with me.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, she's a great car. I love her. That's my first true love for sure. That car.
Well, very good job with it.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I'm like I'm not good with graphics and stuff like that. I love and I admire people that can do it because to be able to do it right, I
Yeah.
mean, you've got to have a talent. It's just not something that.
I will say this, many hours were spent on YouTube researching, like, how to lay down vinyl properly, you know, how
Mm.
to wrap things, how to cut vinyl, how to do this, how to do that, right? I got some practice originally on my old car that I had like 5 years ago. I had a Volkswagen Jetta TDI engine, which was my dream car. It was a 2011. So it was part of the class action lawsuit that Volkswagen was in. And fun fact, if you buy any TDIs that are around that era, so the 2010, I think to 2012, 13, they're all part on like guaranteed warranty under the class action lawsuit that happened back then. And any part to it pertaining to it to being diesel, Volkswagen has to fix 100% for free.
Oh
So, like,
wow.
one of the times, like, I got a brand new transmission put into my car because it was a diesel transmission, and they had to fucking do it for free 99 because my car was under 140,000 miles at the time, right? So that was the first car though that I actually started doing dumb shit too. I had put like baby pink rally racing stripes on it. I tinted the headlights pink. I just got a DPF delete done on her before I wrecked her in a car wreck,
Oh
right?
no.
Yeah, so that was my first car that I started like modifying and playing around with. And then when I got my hands on, you know, the Dodge Charger, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get real fucking stupid with this one. And so I have been like, I just on Saturday installed two 12-inch subs into her. So now she's really loud and obnoxious, right? My neighbors hate me. Um, I'm about the next thing I'm about to do, like technical wise, is I'm about to install underglow onto it because
Oh
obviously.
wow. Oh yeah.
uh, so I've
Pink.
been just doing, oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure. Yep, yep. So I've been just doing a lot of dumb shit to this car and making it super, super obnoxious because I need people to know that a woman beat them at their own game on the fucking road. You know, it
There you
needs to
go.
be very obviously clear.
There you go. Yeah, no, that like I said, I love, like I said, anything that has come to, you know, handmade art, you know, like with tattooing and stuff like that. And when people put put their blood, sweat, and tears into their vehicles, I just don't
Hell
have the
yeah.
time. My mind will not allow
Well,
me to
for
do it.
me, it like feels extra good because I am a female. So when car dudes are like stop me or like we're at a red light, they're like, "Yo, your shit's sick. Did you do it yourself?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did all this myself." Like it feels so good to be able to say that. Like, "Yeah, I didn't need a dude for this. I got this shit." You know. Like
Yeah.
yesterday, I took the entire wheel and center dash apart, like unwired everything and rewired everything back together, was wire splicing shit together and God knows what. And I did it entirely myself. I watched like 2 YouTube videos and I was like, I got this. This is easy, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Gotta love YouTube when it comes to that. That's for damn sure.
dude, it's amazing, man. If they had that like 20 years ago, shit, dude.
No, if they had that 20 years ago, there wouldn't be
Man,
any mechanics or anything left around
no,
besides people just making YouTube
probably
videos.
not. Probably not.
Yeah, because I mean, I do all the work on my cars myself because I will not take it to a mechanic unless I just cannot do it, but I'll try to figure my
Absolutely,
way to do
yeah.
it.
Right, right. I feel that.
That's on the inside are so good. Yeah, I love the pop of the pink on the inside of that black.
Yes, yes. It's my favorite. Yeah, I have blue LEDs, like, by my feet and then all the pink ones behind me and stuff, and then the cage and stuff because I still have the cage in it.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no, it came with everything. The rifle holder, there's even a rifle holder, like, in between the driver and the passenger seat, there's a whole rifle holder. Yeah, yeah, but the keys to the rifle holder didn't come with it, so
Oh.
I can't ever put anything in there because 'cause I'm never gonna be able to get it back out.
Probably
I
not.
thought
Probably a
about
good idea.
I thought about as a joke because I
Oh.
have a fake airsoft rifle M16.
Oh
I
Lord.
thought about as a joke putting like spray painting it pink and putting it in there, like and just keeping it in there since I don't have the key to the rifle holder anyways, right? But then I remembered how often I get pulled over in that thing, and I was like, probably wouldn't be the best time
Yeah.
to have a fake fucking assault rifle in the fucking car.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That would probably cause a little bit more bigger stir than you just having a cop car.
Probably. I have to be getting out of the car with my hands up every time. Like, don't feel it. It's plastic, bro. It's a plastic toy. Chill out. Like,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and watching. And if you guys want to catch a live show, you can catch us over on kick.com/They Hang Out Live. Also, all the videos will be up on our YouTube channels. All the links and stuff will be in the descriptions. Make sure you guys check out everybody we talk to. Like I said, we're all over the place. So until next time, have a good one.
But we're on the side of the honest truth, exploring perspectives. Time to take off.